what up? This is Ramascreen, and in the anticipation of Unidentified Objects arriving June 2 in select theaters and on June 9 on VOD, I'm here talking with the director of this new film, Juan Felipe Zuleta. How are you, Juan?
Rama, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Congratulations on the film. I very much enjoyed it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this your feature-length film directorial debut?
Yes, correct.
That's congratulations. How are the experiences of shooting all those short films and music videos prepared you or led you to doing this project?
Every experience counts. I feel like every experience is different. There's making a movie or making anything is controlled chaos. So all it does, it just makes you a little bit more confident in yourself that you're gonna be able to manage and go and keep pushing through that chaos. But yeah, I feel a feature, it's a marathon. A short film is more. So I still had a lot to learn when I was making this, because you keep going through days and days and days as opposed to just shooting it in a couple of days. But it helped. It helped in many ways.
I got you. Now, I love road trip stories, and this is by far one of the best ones I've seen in recent years. It's funny, but it's also profound. Now, some filmmakers would tackle stories that are just set in one place because they can control, the logistics and the budget. But with stories like this that require the characters to travel and go outdoors from location to location, I think at one point Matthew and Sarah were by the side of the highway where you have the risk of cars flying by. How tough or how challenging were those shoots, and how did you manage or navigate it on an indie level, if you will?
It was incredibly challenging. It was very challenging. Thank God we had really good producers who, even though we were at an indie level, they were very organized. We shot most of the movie. We shot within. I like to say that we did have like our main location was the car, right? So we still maintained that variable throughout, and we shot most of the movie within a like a 75-mile radius of our base camp. So we still kept control, and we were very localized. Unfortunately, this was fortunately and unfortunately, it wasn't one of those road trip movies that we could actually travel through many different states and roads and locations. We had to be very smart about finding visually different locations within a radius.
Excellent, and it paid off. It really looked well on the screen. Now, I gotta ask you, since you mentioned it, this was my next question about that pink SUV. That vehicle is a hoot. It really stands out on the road, doesn't it? Like, what's the story on that pink SUV, and where is it now? Who has it now?
So we have it. We own it. We designed it for the movie. We painted it pink. We wanted to make something when we made this car that was iconic. We wanted to make something that was an alien spaceship going through the road. And I think like we after a lot of iterations of exploration, we ended up landing on this color and this specific Jeep, because we felt it checked all the boxes. Also, the Jeep has like a little bit of this cool factor of like it's like, oh yeah, we're going into like an adventure. You know what I mean? It's like a road trip car, but it also, let's make it like old and beat up and kind of like. So we still own it. We still, so it's, if any of your viewers wants to make an offer, not yet though, but down the road we might put it up for sale.
Definitely iconic. I mean, I'll put it up there with DeLorean and the rest of the gang. I stand corrected. You're right. It's a pink Jeep. I thank you for clarifying. Not an SUV. Now, Matthew and Sarah were excellent in this film. They were solid. Talk to me about the casting of these two wonderful actors, especially Matthew, because I understand that both characters that they play are struggling, so to speak, but Matthew's character specifically is very complex to the point where he's spewing things that make us wonder, the audiences wonder, maybe, I mean, some little people do see themselves that way. The lines that he delivered were brutally honest to the point of discomfort. Was that intentional in the script?
Definitely intentional. It was the whole thing is scripted, and we wanted to make sure that he had like a level of self-awareness that he could that in some ways could make us uncomfortable because he is saying it, but at the same time he says it in some ways that it could be funny, and that dark comedy, it was definitely the tone of the story. It's like this character who's super smart, super self-aware, very conscious of who he is, his problems, and all the layers that he has below. But and within that, you find like the tragedy of the story but and also like he deals with a lot of self-pity and all of these. And I feel like those were all things that we wanted to explore through this character. So it was very important for us to make sure that that was properly planned, and obviously in a very careful way with Matthew, making sure that because I'm not a little person, and my writing partner Leland is not a little person. So Matthew was a collaborator in the script. So we make sure everything that was written, he was giving us green light permission, or he was pushing us, right? Like, for example, there's a scene where he's naked. I don't know if I should say that, but because I don't want to any spoilers, but it was very important to us that it felt authentic and that it felt honest to who he is and to his experience.
And talk to me about also Golden Globe nominee Sarah Hay, because about her getting on board this project, because her character, of course, has vulnerability, but she also projects sexuality and some trauma from this quote unquote abduction.
Yeah, so Sarah Hay was one of my top options earlier on, and I always wanted her. And actually, I reached out to her managers and see if she could do a chemistry read with Matthew. Matthew was already on board. I loved her because, and like, she has a look to it. First of all, her look, it's just very interesting to me. She also has this ballerina background, and she's in Flesh and Bone, which is where she was nominated for a Golden Globe. It's a story about ballet and about in some ways the exploitation of the body image and like of these people and how toxic that world is. And I feel like that it was her own experience also after doing research. So I knew she could bring a lot of personal experience to that character, even though she wasn't a sex worker. I know ballerinas go through very similar issues of objectification and things like that. So, and I just loved her look, her energy. And I reached out to her agent and manager because I wanted to do a chemistry read with Matthew, since I already had Matthew and I needed to make sure they worked. And they told me to leave. They told me to she did an audition for indies, and a few days later she reached out to me on Instagram and she said, "Hey, I actually really love the project. I don't know what happened through my managers, but let me do a chemistry read with Matthew on Zoom." And she hopped in a phone call with Matthew, and we read the first scene when she's knocking on the door, and I have that tape, and it's amazing. Like, I was like, when I saw that Zoom call, that's when I knew I had a movie that was going to be great. That's when I knew I had really good characters, because their chemistry and they played with each other, and we did it a few times. And I felt that was I felt like I had substance. I had something very powerful, and I just started like working from there. But then I brought her on board, and she trusted me fully, and we went all in. And I feel incredibly lucky to have had the opportunity to just go and really explore the characters with them.
Yeah, you were definitely lucky, because those two, the chemistry and the dynamics between them were perfect in this film for what the story requires. So now here's the moment where I'm asking you to reveal what's behind the curtains, if you will. So I know that the space aliens are some sort of a metaphor in this film, but what are they exactly theme-wise? What are you and Leland trying to convey with the alien aspects in this film? Or is that ambiguous and open to interpretation?
So there's both. There's definitely ambiguity, and I'm not gonna explain the ending or anything like that. I actually don't want. I think it's more interesting if people just come up with their own conclusion. I do think the aliens are at the core of the story from a human standpoint of like like this movie explores all the layers behind what being an alien is, or what aliens are. Aliens are outsiders. Aliens are people we don't know or relate with. Aliens are people who don't belong, and those are who our characters are. So within this, our characters are aliens as well. But when it goes to like this, the bridge people, or these aliens in another galaxy, there's this sense of the unknown. And I think that that is very much related to the sense of self-discovery, of like a lot of us don't look at ourselves in the mirror because we're afraid to discovering who is inside. And I feel like that we're alien within ourselves. So I feel like we take this theme of alien and we put it into many different like many different lenses, and to try to see it through different perspectives. And obviously, listen, like the bridge people and all of that, I'm a big science fiction buff. I love all of that. And I think that's something that I treated with a lot of respect for science fiction fans, even though I wouldn't say this is like a fully sci-fi movie. But I also personally wanted to explore the more of that philosophical and human iteration and aspect of what that means.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I really love this film, and I hope a lot of people get to watch it. And and I know it went through several festival circuits, and now that's going to general public, so that's a good thing. Final question to you, Juan. What is your advice to short film and music video directors out there who want to make that jump or transition to directing feature-length film? What are some of the things that they should do or look out for?
That's an excellent question, and I'm actually finishing writing an essay right now about that.
Nice.
And I think one of the things that I feel is most important, I feel like people should know, is it's gonna be very hard just as a music video director and short film director, even if you have a great script, even if you've been at festivals, to get anybody to give you money for a movie and say like, oh yeah, just walk through this red carpet, come, let's make your next movie. Like, you have to have a lot of personal initiative, and you have to, and as long as you start and you go, don't ask for permission. Don't wait for anybody to give you permission. This movie, it's a dilemma because I jumped into the abyss, and in some ways I fell and I stood up and I kept going, and I learned by doing. And sometimes I wish I was that Sundance darling who has a lot of people lined up with millions of dollars who were gonna throw me money and work on my next movie. But I wasn't. But I really needed to tell this story. So maybe my next movie I'll be at Sundance Landing. Maybe 3 movies from now. It doesn't matter. That's besides the point. My point is I didn't wait for any of the gatekeepers to tell me that I was okay to go and make it. I just went and did everything I could to make it. And I think you can be very strategic about the resources you have. I think it's very important for filmmakers who are making their first movie to not spend too much money, because it's gonna be hard to make that money back. Because again, there's gatekeepers. So even if you have a terrific movie, you still have to get a sales agent on board. Oh, by the way, you don't have a famous actor. So even though your movie is good, still gonna be hard to get that sales. So there's a lot of complexities that can give you reasons to not make it. So don't make a movie you wanna make. Make a movie you need to make. And if you need to make it, you're gonna do everything that you can to pull it off. And I know this is very broad advice, but I think be mindful of the resources you have. Write something that you can pull off, and be very, very, very smart about, as you said, one location, few characters. If it's a road trip, shoot it in a smart way. Most importantly, like, be completely authentic. I think that authenticity on your first movie is worth more than anything else, because that's what people are gonna be able to differentiate you as a storyteller from everybody else, and that's how you're gonna be able to like show like something different and unique. So be honest with yourself, and just go find the right people and take the risk.
Now, for my fans at home, everybody go check out Unidentified Objects, arriving June 2 in select theaters and on June 9 on VOD. Juan, thank you for talking to me, and congratulations.
Thank you, Rama. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Have a good day, sir.